Our next guest is part of Health Week. I would like to introduce. He's he's a great friend of mine. I know what's he doing. He's panicking. Yeah, go. Spend time getting it in frame. Spending time, bend it round. Yeah. Okay, up. Excellent. Excellent. He's doing exactly what his mum does. Doesn't know where the mute button is. And
what's going on? I thought it was your job to align me. What's going on? That's ridiculous.
No, this is good.
Yeah.
It's
really zoomed in on my big face.
Do you want me to try and make it smaller?
Yeah, I thought you were going to edit me before I got on.
Hey, this is good. Hey, welcome to the show. Nat McEwen, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing very well. It was a great treat for me to start my morning watching 1975 Arnold Schwarzenegger on the stage of South Africa in Pumping Iron. That literally was the that was the literal backing film and track of my adolescence. I watched that film every single time before I trained. Sorry, I really am.
No, that's right. You keep it. You keep it still, and you introduce. Tell us where is that where you loved? Tell us about where you love for and your fascination with the body and exercise and health really kicked off. What's that screaming animal in the background?
That's my 1-year-old daughter.
I'm joking.
Marching around the house,
get her.
Calling for her dad, and she's looking at me through a window and screaming at me. She's actually just screaming at me right now.
Oh, that's good. Let's
ignore her, which is just so weird for her 1-year-old brain, for her to be looking out a window at her dad, and her dad's just looking back at her tears, just smiling, going, "Hey, hello,"
and not moving forward, no support,
and not actually helping her.
Yeah, this is not parenting. This is not what I'm up for.
Yeah,
Get me
correct.
another dad. No, tell.
So she's confused.
Tell us where your love of health and where did it all kick off? What's your history on where did you start loving the body and everything that it can do and what you put in your body? Where did the fascination start?
Yeah, good question.
I've got plenty more too.
It was probably a natural thing, but I had a brother who was 8 years older than me who got into that space, and I sort of followed his footsteps. Living organisms, the human body, the way it works, the way it responds to food and exercise was always fascinating. I loved sport growing up, you know that. I played a lot of basketball, and so I just loved the way the human body performed, and I wanted to get into the details as to how it functioned the way it did, how it could adapt to different training environments, and I wanted to apply myself into that space. And so coming out of high school, I studied human movement or kinesiology, an applied science degree, and then got straight into the fitness industry, I suppose. I worked in the gym managed a gym up in Melbourne and started working with people and caring for people through the realms of health and fitness. And, I was ravenous to look like Arnold. Let's face it. I watched those Pumping Iron from a young age, and I wanted to be like Arnold. But it was bigger than just looking a certain way. It was much more about understanding what was going on physiologically that allowed you to actually look like that or make certain changes, whether they be physique or whether they be health. I was very intrigued by the sub-microscopic world of the human body, and so that's where I am 20 years later, still intrigued by it.
Did you study? Before you went into studying, were you venturing into the world of experimenting with your body? And did you hit? I know you hit the weights before you studied. Is that right?
Probably about the age of 16, I was training. I was exercising pretty hard in the gym. I just absolutely loved it, and therefore the fascination with what's going on nutritionally, what's going on from a training standpoint, how is my body responding to these stresses? That was fascinating to me. I was doing that from the age of 16, really, and pushing pretty hard, and
And you're pretty small back then, weren't you?
I was a skinny little man, but that was part of the intrigue. That's the battle.
It was fascinating.
We're not genetically inclined a lot of the time to change the way we look or even the way we perform, and so that's a great challenge to apply that strategy and that knowledge base to go, can I trick my body that is a thin, weedy body, can I trick it into adding muscle somehow through strategy? And it was a slow burn of a journey. And I eventually got to a point that I was content, but through that process of trying to achieve that, realized that perhaps physique-orientated goals aren't all that important versus just general health and being able to look after yourself holistically. So it's been a great evolution and transition.
Would your journey in bodybuilding, would you be able to say that it's mostly healthy or not mostly healthy? How do you, being someone that's been into bodybuilding in a limited capacity from competition level, but certainly towing the line in the latter part of your bodybuilding career, it got to a pretty serious level where you're mucking around with so many interesting forms and everything. But is the entire industry, and probably from a lot of general listeners, I don't think we've got 15 bodybuilders listening today, probably 15 people considering exercise after Christmas, and might be a skeptic and go, bodybuilding, look at these idiots, you are a loser, look at you, just so fat. Is it a healthy industry?
Yeah, so for those people who say that, I say, great, be skeptical. I agree. It's not, I don't think it is really healthy. I've been in those circles for 20 years. And I think 20 years ago, it was actually had a great sort of virtue to it. It was like the Arnold in the 70s. It was really about camaraderie. It was mateship. It was sort of caring for one another. It was training for the pursuit of artistry. It was training for the pursuit of understanding physiology. There was a real beauty to it. And there were some values associated with it that I was intrigued with. But now if you walk into a gym, in 2021, it's just lots of people strutting around in bare naked, all telling each other how amazing they look. And it's just a really awkward world for the most part, but not for everyone. It doesn't need to be that way, and it shouldn't be that way. And just because it's currently a lot like that, it doesn't mean you can't try and make physique changes or strength and conditioning changes and do it in a way that has some real integrity, beauty, and aligns with good things. But yeah, be skeptical, because it is a weird world of weird people. But I think almost all industries at a really high level might be full of that. You know, when you get to a high level, you start to cut corners and you start to get pretty excited about yourself and how you're performing, and the humility starts to go out the window, and all sorts of things can happen. So yeah, be skeptical, but don't throw it out necessarily. Pursuing physical gains can be a really I think pure thing.
Yeah. For anyone. So weight training, and would you suggest weight training for anyone?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There is definitely no training method that is as all-encompassing in the outcomes that you achieve physiologically, health, psychologically, mentally, than just picking up some weights and moving them. I mean, it's what our bodies are designed to do. It's what they want to do. And when we do that, our body responds in amazing ways. And you don't need a mirror to do it. You don't need to be walking around a tank top to do it. You just need to move things. You need to lift weights, because that's what we're designed to do. We're designed with muscles, over 600 of them, to actually move weights. And when we don't do that, our whole body shuts down, our muscles turn off, and a whole range of health negativities occur because we just don't move things. We don't lift things anymore.
I've got some questions flying in already. This is great. So stick around. We're just going to jump around here. And this is there's no flow at all. Question for Natty. Diet, they didn't say Natty, I made that up. Diet low, no sugar drinks like Coke Zero with aspartame in them, which is their fake little sugar. Are they a health risk due to the, is it aspartame? Is that aspartame?
Yeah,
you know what it is. And it's the artificial sweetener in most of these drinks. What's the deal?
Most artificial sweeteners aren't as detrimental, if not detrimental at all, as people might suspect. I think we tend to feel that something that's artificial, that can't be good for our bodies. I'm not saying it's good for our bodies, but I think high levels of processed sugars far surpasses the negativities of most sweeteners. lots and lots and lots of research and scientific literature is wrapped around artificial sweeteners. I mean, there's more and more pouring out each year, and for the most part, the vast majority, artificial sweeteners in mild quantities has no detriments. There's very little detriments, but that's in a healthy human body, and not everyone's healthy, and so chemicals and artificial chemicals and sweeteners can be detrimental to some people, but it's usually a really rare occurrence. So yeah, for the most part, throw out I would recommend the zero sugar beverages above sugar beverages. I would recommend water most of all. I mean, just drink a lot of water. That's the main thing. But if you're really concerned about sugar levels, yeah, drop them. I think artificial sweeteners aren't as bad as we make them out to be.
And there's always fads going around, or key words, or famous words going around every year, but certainly low sugar or no sugar. I notice it in all the marketing on any drink or any food. It's just massive, bold writing, no sugar. But everyone's now switching on to going, well, what else is in it? What are you putting in this? That's interesting. So we can smash. I'm going to get on the 2 litre Coke Zeros today.
Coke Zero's okay. Just with that, like we have this contamination of the word sugar, I think, and sugar is not a bad thing. Sugar is naturally occurring in fruits. It's naturally occurring in sugars, and sugar is really just a carbohydrate molecule that's usually, in a real sort of a singular form, and so it's absorbed really quickly. But sugars can be still sort of fall under the parameters of grains and breads and good things like that, but they're just usually longer chains of these sugars. So we think sugars are the worst, but they're actually really natural. They were designed to be consumed, and they're fantastic. What we should be afraid of is any sugar that has gone through a human processed system, and we've taken what's really great in fruit, and we've gone, you know what, we can make that really cheap. We can make it absorbed really quick and give our customers a real big high, and so let's make it like that. No, don't make it like that. Just eat it as it was intended, from a tree, from a fruit, and it's fantastic for you. Sugars are great. Your body needs sugars.
Is the issue that these things in the purest form cost too much money these days? Or the health world, you go to a shop and you get pure cacao, and it's just ridiculously, it's the most highest priced powder. But it used to be, I remember eating that when I was little. I remember eating carob when I was a kid, and all these health things were for the poor kids. And now they're in big kilo sacks or little 15-gram Ziploc bags with a little sticker on it.
Absolutely.
Is that a problem?
That's the trick, man. That is the conundrum that we face. It's like, yes, I want to eat healthy, and it costs me a fortune.
Costs more to eat healthy.
It can cost a fortune. You've got to be super smart about it, or grow your own food, or take the time to go to like a fruit shack or something like that, where they just do nice, cheap fruit. But for the most part, the health and fitness industry has taken the cheapest product and manufactured it, mass produced it, and churned it out to us, and put some snazzy labels on it and say this is healthy, and we go, brilliant, and it's cheap, I'll take it. But it's not really.
Hey, when you're looking at a label, which is sometimes a little bit of a matrix, you're looking at you're looking at the side of a label, you got all these things here.
Good. What do you got?
What am I don't know if you can see it really well.
I got you. Yeah.
So what we've got: energy, protein, fat total, saturated under that, carbohydrate, and then you got another one under carbohydrate, little hyphen, sugars and sodium. What would you zoom in on? What would you beeline to when you're looking or telling someone to go, just watch out for bang?
You look out for anything that is outside of the parameters of fats and saturated fats. So, for example, there might be some trans fats in there, which is
what would that say? This is actually a pretty good thing. This is Capilano All Natural Choc Honey Spread, another Aldi's purchase. Thanks, Aldi. Pure Australian honey, 97.5%. Cacao powder, 2.5%. Is the health organisation? That's it. Hey, they're not lying. They're not lying. It's not honey.
No, they can't lie. I mean, you can be tricky with your words, but they're not lying.
So where's the sodium come from?
Where does sodium come from?
Yeah.
almost all foods contain some degree of sodium or salt.
Right.
But that label is such a great representation of how the modern day health world and our Western civilization consider what are the danger zones within food.
Yeah.
Saturated fat. So they particularly put it like a saturated fat
Do they have to say it? Do they have to say saturated fat?
No, they don't have to, but people, because they've been sort of trained to look out for saturated fat as if it's an enemy, they go, "Oh, how much saturated fat's on there?" saturated fat is fantastic. We absolutely need it. Like, it's so important for hormone construction, for so much that we do, mental health that hinges upon saturated fat. But everyone's going, "Oh, saturated fat, terrible." And so has it got it on there? If it didn't put saturated fat on the label, people would go, "Nah, I'm not going to have it because I don't know it's got zero saturated fat." And the other thing is sugars as well. People want to know how many sugars are in there. And so other carbohydrates might be things like fiber, which is works considerably differently with your body than does a real simple sugar. Have you got honey there, do you?
Yeah, I've got some honey, mate. I love it. I just love it, mate. I can't get enough of it. No, it's
just got a tub of honey just sitting on your desk,
just in front of the radio station.
Jab that.
Yeah, I've got beard oil,
that within breaks. Yeah.
Beard oil, musk, cologne, and just a dollop of Capilano choc honey, ready to go, just from a keto diet. Hey, I got another question.
Yeah.
I've heard that dairy and grains inhibit absorption of nutrients. Is this true? Is it a big deal?
It can be true in some cases, but for the most part, not. I think for the most part, we get nervous about the interactions between foods, but in a healthy human body, which is the vast majority of us, that's not a case. That's not the case. I'm not a dietitian. Like, I haven't done a dietitian's degree. I'm a nutrition coach. And so applying a vast range of nutrients to most circumstances works well. Minimize the absorption, not in most cases, no. And so dairy has a whole range of great benefits, unless you are one of the people that have some lactose intolerance and other sort of physical aberrations.
Good one. Thanks for that person to put in that question. Here's another one. Is there any benefit in walking for exercise, or do you have to really increase your heart rate and sweat to get any benefit?
Walking is fantastic. There's been so much research done into what just walking 20 minutes a day, every day does, and it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable versus just sitting down, actually getting up and walking for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, I think most research wraps around. It's unbelievable. Things like fighting all sorts of heart disease, cancers, obesity-related disease, mental health, strength, muscle development. We think it's so minimal, but it's so huge. And one of the dangers is that we go, it's just walking, I may as well not do it at all. But actually just moving and walking is massive. And it's why doing your 10,000 steps a day is actually really beneficial, and it's a worthwhile goal. Your body's really adaptable though. And so after you've walked around for a lot, your body's going to go, what's next?
Yes,
it just adapts to that very easily. So if you want to make considerable fitness goals, then walking's not enough. You need to start pushing the intensity and increasing the overload and duration at which you do things. But walking is awesome, and it's a really important starting point. I think the sad thing is that people who are perhaps sedentary, they are sitting on the couch going, you know what, I'm not ready to walk into a gym and start pumping weights and wearing my singlet. I'm not ready for that. Therefore, I'm doing nothing. But it's not, you don't need to go to that stage. It's like I go from couch to competing as a bodybuilder. They're my only options. Just start walking is the best. It's fantastic. Walking is so powerful. It's been shown that for many years.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk diet. Sounds like it's a nice little segue. You probably get a lot of people asking about the diet, and it's super important being a nutrition man yourself. People are coming into the new year, getting all excited to lose some weight. I want to get all trim. I ate too much. Give me the diet. I want the keto. I want the 80-20. I want the 5B5s. I don't know what other diets out there. 5x5's not one. It's a piece of
Yeah.
wood. It's a piece of wood. 5x5. The 5.
5x5, that is so funny. That is like an old strength template.
Is
that
it?
you've Yeah,
You might have told me years ago.
that you must have picked up by talking to me like 20 years ago. The 5x5.
Pull it out. No, but what works? Like what works? Like what? And what? Like, or is it just? I mean, we had Fizz on a couple of days ago, just saying I can't really accurately say what's going to be best for you right now. Is that the deal? Like different diets for different things, but keto is all cool. No. Caveman diet is all cool.
Yeah, the paleo.
Paleo.
You can almost in every case apply the same strategies, and that's quite encouraging. That's really encouraging because it empowers people to just do the fundamentals, and if they do the fundamentals, good things happen from a physique standpoint, yes, but also from a health standpoint. So things like just drinking heaps of water throughout the day, making sure you're eating fruit and veggies all day, so you're getting all these micronutrients that do these wondrous display of physiological things when they're in your body. Eating good lean protein, eating good whole grains, and eating a good range of healthy fats. And it sounds a bit boring. I don't want that. I just want to have the most radical diet that in 2 weeks I'm going to be looking amazing and feeling amazing.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable. What's sustainable is eating good food that's grown out of the ground, that you pick off a tree and put into your mouth. It's not hard. I know it is hard. That's a lie. It can be hard.
Yeah, because you're trying to shake.
I don't want to dismiss how hard it is, because it is hard to get into those habits. But it's not complicated. It really is just doing the fundamentals well. So I would just encourage people to err on the side of caution of diets that say this food type shouldn't fit into your diet. Anytime you say that food type isn't meant to be consumed, like a sugar or a grain or a legume or something of that nature, it makes me wary, and it should make people wary, because then why does it exist? If it's not to be eaten, why is it here? Why would we remove it?
Do you recommend people to check what foods work for them or not by going to a dietitian? I know some examples of people going like this. Dietitians have said those foods. I remember reading a book or something. Those foods don't work for you, and we've got a certain selection of foods that don't run right across each human. Peaches or bananas, potatoes do not work for you. Your body's not processing them as quickly as the average person.
Yeah, definitely.
Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's so true. It's so true. Yeah, everyone is designed differently, and that's beautiful and really cool, and that everyone has these different variables. So we can't be foolish enough to say, with all the diversity in the human race, everyone just applies the same eating and that should work. It's not the case. But for the vast majority, you can apply these fundamentals and that will work. But we don't want to dismiss the minority of people who have unique health factors, allergies, for example, or thyroid issues or skin disorders or whatever it might be, where some foods just through genetics don't work well with their bodies. So in that case, if things aren't working, if you apply the fundamentals, water, whole grains, fruit and veg, that sort of thing, if you apply that and it's still not working, then you definitely go to a nutritionist or a dietitian.
I've got a couple more questions. Is training first thing in the morning on an empty stomach the best way to lose weight? First thing, is there science or truth behind your fat is tricked, and is it waiting there just in the sidelines for you to grab it on the unawares, first thing, grab up, bang, exercise, or is it hidden when you wait an hour or two, get moving, and then do exercise?
No, it's a good question. Again, a lot of research has gone into this, but your body is in a fasted state. Your body tends to be more readily available at releasing fat to be used as a fuel source. So morning training from a body composition standpoint is a good way to get rid of body fat. It tends to work well. Is it enough of an improvement upon training any time throughout the day for you to get up at 5 a.m. and train? Maybe not. well, I've gone through many phases of training at 5 a.m, and I just generally feel weak and sapped of drive. And so what I'm losing in that 20% reduction in intensity is that worth the mild increase in fat burning of being there at 5 a.m? You just got to weigh it all up. And then if you've just got a horrible diet but then you get up and train at 5 a.m. and go, well, what's going on? Why isn't this working? This is the fat burning zone. Everything needs to be in place. But if things are in place, then training super early in the morning in a fasted state is a pretty good thing to do. And it feels fantastic to at 6 a.m. to have finished a training session. You've conquered the day essentially before it's even begun. It feels fantastic. So I do recommend it.
And what about the other side? Eating after 6, eating any meals is later in the day. Is your body slowing down to the point where it's just you're lying in bed and your body's just going, I'm going to put this on your bottom and your hips when you wake up? Or do we want to eat ideally while we're still needing to burn the energy?
Yeah, again, it comes down to what your varied goals are and how your eating has gone throughout the day. But yeah, for the most part, your body doesn't use carbohydrates as effectively as at night time. And remember, carbohydrates are an energy source, they're a fuel source, and they want to be used for physical activities. So if we consume them and then we lie down, then they want to be stored somewhere. Now, they might be stored really brilliantly in your muscle. Your muscle and your liver can hold up to 100 grams of carbohydrates. And so it's not going to necessarily be converted into body fat. And so, yeah, eating late at night, if it's healthy, it's whole grains and it's fruit and veg and it's just ticking those boxes, it's fine. It's fine. I think what we try and do is we apply these little strategies of, I'm not going to eat after 9 p.m. or I'm going to train early in the morning. You do those two things and they're great. They are beneficial. But the rest of the day isn't on. Yeah. It's like, well, then it's pointless. It's pointless.
Yeah. Paul, great one. Can't out-train a bad diet. Spot on. This is great. Such a wise, encouraging guy. We've got a few little comments going here. This is great. And Justin, I hope that answered your question about aspartame. How do you say it? Aspartame. What do you say?
Yeah, aspartame. Yeah, look, most research into artificial sweeteners tend to suggest that they're okay in small dosages, and that's what we usually do. Most studies with artificial sweeteners are done on rats in what's called supraphysiological dosages, which are dosages that you cannot actually emulate in human beings. And so they get a rat and they stuff it full of artificial sweetener to ludicrous levels that we can't emulate and say, hey, look, that rat is really struggling. Therefore, we can't have it. Of course he's struggling. Of course he's struggling. You give him nothing but artificial sweetener every day, all day for the last week. He hates life right now. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to have a Diet Coke, thank you.
You obese little rats turn into a wombat. He's a walking wombat.
Look at him. There's your evidence.
Hey, one more thing before we go, and thanks for your time, Nat, this morning. I know you got some kids and a lovely lady there to look after and moving house, so I appreciate it. For someone that is in your position, time poor, lots of priorities that become way before exercise, and you got to look after your kids and do what can someone do with time poor, can't afford to get in, maybe not can afford it, but can't afford time to get into a gym, or what are they going? Are they going to Kmart to buy some dumbbells and just bring up the kettlebells or something and just get them at home? And what are you going to suggest to someone that is just crazy busy?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Aside from diet. Yeah, aside from diet. Yeah. So, I went from someone who trained 2 hours a day and just took my time and then I had children and now I struggle to get 20 minutes. And so that whole thought process has been big in my head for the last few years. An empowering thing, an exciting thing for people and for me is to realize that just being consistent and doing something like 20 to 30 minutes a day every second day is huge in keeping your body staying healthy, having correct body composition, fighting body fat levels, having strength and that you can run around and live life and care for your kids and care for others. 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day is heaps. It's heaps. And so we shouldn't feel obligated to undergo a rigorous
gym orientated regime. Body weight exercises are fantastic. Jump on the floor and do some push-ups, do some body weight squats. When I realized I couldn't possibly get to the gym anymore and I just had to sneak out to my garage when my kids were sleeping, I just went and spent a bit of money on a home gym, a good one, a squat rack, a barbell, a bench, a couple of plates. And I literally do a 20-minute, no resting little regime. And I do that maybe 3 times a week. And it's not optimal. I'd like to do more, but it's huge compared to doing nothing at all. It's massive. And so I think people can be encouraged that the human body responds to you doing something rather than nothing. It really does.
Whatever that is. Yeah. And maybe the thing is to not be so critical about exactly what you're doing and trying to hit parameters and form and all this stuff. I think that's mainly people making excuses.
Our bodies are designed to move, and so just moving is the key. You just got to move, whether it's walking, whether it's jogging with a mate, whether it's doing some body weight exercises. Our bodies just want to move. They want to do stuff.
Yeah, that's great. We've got another question snuck in before I'm going to play a tune. And thanks, Shelley. It's obviously Chris, mate, and now they flood in, don't they? At last minute. What are some good foods to get you by when training and you don't have an appetite to eat a lot?
So when you're actually training?
Yeah, what are some good foods to get you by when training, etc.? Or moving, I guess, some kind of exertion in physical activity, and you don't have an appetite to eat a lot? Or snacks. Let's talk about healthy snacks. What are some good healthy snacks?
Well, if you're training and you don't have an appetite, perhaps you don't need to eat at that case. Like we don't need to eat necessarily. Our body's got some really good nutrients stored up that it can take to fuel our training. So our body might have enough already in store that you don't need to give it more. So that's one thing. But in terms of, I couldn't be bothered eating and I know I need some nutrients. Quite literally, protein shakes are fantastic. You can get liquid meals are a big win. I'm a big fan of liquid meals. 1, if you're time poor. 2, if you don't have an appetite. A nice lean protein shake, and that can be whey orientated, but can also be vegan, vegetarian options as well, like pea protein, whatever. But a liquid protein with like a microgreens formula that you can just sprinkle in there to tick off on a handful of fruit and veggies in the form of a powder, and drizzle in some healthy fats like a teaspoon of olive oil, and bang. It took you 30 seconds to make it. It's the best nutrients, and I'm a big fan of liquid meals.
Is breakfast an important start to the day? Last question for the day.
Yeah, it's really important unless you are applying, some well thought out intermittent fasting where you want to skip breakfast, and that's okay as well, because intermittent fasting has a lot of research and evidence behind it. But otherwise, breakfast is a fantastic way to start the day. If we avoid having brekkie, I think the tendency is that come lunchtime or afternoon or dinner, we just go mental. We go mental. We're so hungry by that stage and so stressed from a day of work that we just then lose it at dinner and go, you know what, I'm going to make amends by starving myself for the first half of the day again. No, start the day with a full plethora of fantastic foods. Eat the rainbow, as they say, every colour under the sun. Get it into your mouth, get it into your gob, eat it, lots of water, and start your day in that way. And coffee, always pop that in. And you're away. Have
nice
your
one. Hope you enjoyed those. Hope you enjoyed those answers, Shelley, Carissa, and Sandra. Finally, I'm at work. Awesome health advice this morning. Looking forward to some more good music today. I think that's a sign I've got to play some music. Hey,
they're really. I want some tunes.
Really looking forward to some music starting anytime soon. How about now? How long is this guy on for? No, that wasn't that.
I picked up the vibes. Right?
Hey, that's interesting. I'm not even going to ask about intermittent fasting in expanded form, but hot or not, or intermittent fasting, is it a thing?
It's got some great merit. Absolutely. Our body does some really unique things in a fasted state and really positive things in a fasted state. And so often just having little periods of fasting means that our body secretes new hormones and does things metabolically that it wouldn't do otherwise. And so, it has some merit if you put a bit of thought and planning and reading into it. Yes.
Hey, Nat, thanks for joining me. I know.
It's great to talk to you always. Love it.
I know you would have been nervous for the last 4 hours working on what collar to wear, what's happening. It's nice to wear.
Yeah, I've got my best on.
You got your best on.
But all my fears were allayed once I saw Arnold on stage in 1975, and so that's one way to soothe any anxiety.
I try really hard to play things that if I know the guest familiar. I played Cantaloupe, and then you weren't ready. I went, what have I got? What have I got left?
Did you play Cantaloupe?
Yeah, I played Cantaloupe. I'm going to play something else that you know. I think
yes.
A little bit of Arrested Development for you, but have a lovely day. I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, you're the man. Thank you very much.
No
Bye-bye.
Good one.